Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Thursday, 21st August 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group, a recently promoted inspector of police and 4 subordinate ranks in Guyana, are expected to face charges of robbery under arms. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us. So we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. The Communications Unit of the Guyana Police Force is facing criticism for being selective in releasing crime reports to the media, raising suspicions that the force may be attempting to present a more favorable picture of crime statistics. HGP Nightly News has confirmed that several serious crimes remain unreported, including a high-profile case involving a recently promoted inspector and 4 subordinate ranks who are expected to face charges of robbery under arms. Travis Chase of HGP Nightly News reports.
The Communications Unit of the Guyana Police Force appears to be very selective in releasing crime reports to members of the media. Nightly News is aware, though, of several serious crimes happening that have not been reported to the press. A clear case of attempting to make the crime stats of the Guyana Police Force look good. For instance, a recently promoted inspector and 4 subordinate ranks are expected to be charged soon with robbery under arms. A Chinese national reported that he went from winning big at a Church Street casino to being the victim of a robbery in a matter of seconds at the hands of the police ranks. As usual, the police have opted to remain silent on the robbery. Nightly News understands that the victim last Tuesday was leaving a city casino when he was stopped by the anti-terrorism patrol. The inspector demanded that he search the bag of the victim. Upon noticing the cash, the officers took away more than $5 million and drove off. The victim claimed that he even offered the officers $1.5 million to leave him alone, but they refused. The victim then made a police report. The officers were then placed under close arrest at the Tactical Services Unit. Reportedly, officers from the Police Office of Professional Responsibility have been called in to investigate the crime and have obtained a confession statement after reviewing CCTVs. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
The Minister of Rural Development and Local Government and Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Khadija Amin's response to media questions regarding reported threats to her life. TTT News has more.
It's important for me as an elected representative to be present, continue to be present in St. Augustine constituency, but throughout Trinidad in local government. And our government has always been very hands-on in terms of governance, in terms of meeting with people, in terms of consulting, working with stakeholders, and we will continue that. I want the public to be assured that the threats or perceived threats will not hinder our work and our commitment.
She said corruption has cost taxpayers millions of dollars, depriving the less fortunate of vital resources.
The Prime Minister has been bold enough to take the bull by its horns. It is not only URP that you had corruption, the CPEP and the reforestation programs where they were giving contracts to friends and family, but there are several places in almost every ministry where you can find contracts being given for exaggerated amounts, where you cannot find value for work, where very little, if any work at all, would have been performed, where you had legal fees being paid, millions of dollars for consultation, legal consultations and so on.
Minister Amin said while there may be a few people who are involved in issuing threats, thousands are happy with the government's stance. She said the government will continue to work in the interest of all.
So, this is escalated and we will take the necessary steps, but that will not hinder the work that we have to do. I want to give my commitment to the public that, I will not be intimidated. I will continue with my work.
Recent media reports indicate that a bounty has been placed for the deaths of 3 government ministers: Khadija Amin, Minister of Defense Wayne Sturge, Minister of Public Utilities Barry Padarath, and Unemployment Relief Program Manager Feroz Khan. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
In this TTT Health Check with Karen Cozier-Phillip, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, recently launched a new regional initiative aimed at strengthening health security across the Caribbean.
The Pandemic Fund project implemented by the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, has as its central hub a dedicated web page containing reports, publications, workshop summaries, event updates, and media content, all designed to keep stakeholders and the public informed.
We in countries have lessened in terms of saying focus just on COVID-19 surveillance. And that was expected because it's no longer something new. However, we encourage persons while they are not doing COVID-19 surveillance, we encourage persons to look at hospitalization, to look at deaths, severe cases, because we still want to be able to look at the burden. And we think it's a burden. There are new variants that are going on.
Executive Director of CARPHA, Dr. Lisa Indar, says while COVID-19 is no longer classified as a global emergency, monitoring remains important. And she stresses that protecting health also comes down to personal responsibility.
When we know there's a variant, look out for our CARPHA watching briefs. We would put that out to say something new is coming out, or we have a new variant, or a new situation, or a rise in measles, or anything like that. And we say, protect, to encourage surveillance, and, to be vigilant, to encourage travelers' surveillance, because we have a lot of travelers coming.
CARPHA is also encouraging the continued practice of the 3 Ws. Wash your hands, wear a mask if you're sick, and watch your distance.
During COVID, we had hand washing and masking and all that. So that prevented other infectious diseases. But what we are seeing now is almost like a resurgence of gastrointestinal diseases and other types of diseases. So what CARPHA is recommended, we are saying to you, to be careful, to still follow safety practices. Wash your hands, wear a mask if you're sick, don't go in crowds if you are a risky person, if you're too old or if you have some underlying illness.
Dr. Indar emphasizes vaccines remain a cornerstone of public health, not only for COVID-19, but also for other vaccine-preventable diseases.
And if you have to take vaccines, take necessary vaccines. The situation with the resurgence of measles and those outbreaks that we're seeing in the U.S. is because, persons are not vaccinated. But that causes a risk because we have seen a couple of cases coming in now into the region from persons who are not vaccinated, and then they may transfer it to someone who has not been fully immunized.
CARPHA is also closely monitoring emerging threats, including vector-borne diseases. Recently, PAHO issued a bulletin warning of a fever spreading throughout the Americas.
We are doing surveillance. And we would have put out also a bulletin about that. And we are encouraging persons, we can test and we're able to prevent, we're able to test and we're able to go through enhancing surveillance to pick it up. So it's not for us to be alarmed. It's us to say, okay, enhancing surveillance for Zika or chikungunya, dengue or pooch and all of that, because you're doing, all-inclusive type surveillance.
CARFA continues to strengthen the Caribbean's capacity to respond rapidly and effectively to public health emergencies, bringing together emergency response focal points, public health officers, laboratory professionals, and specialists in risk communication. I'm Karen Kozia-Phillip with your TTT News Health Check.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Proposed changes to the Barbados Secondary School's entrance examination will allow students to showcase their abilities through continuous assessment. Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw said this is the right move to get away from the one-shot exam in favor of a fairer, more comprehensive system for placing students in secondary schools. The revamped model, which takes effect from the 2028 academic year, will combine continuous assessment from classes 3 and 4 in primary schools with a modified national written exam. Minister of Educational Transformation Chad Blackman announced the changes to the national examination during the ministerial statement last week. He also stated that the educational terms, classes and forms will be replaced with the universal term grades starting in September of 2026. Speaking to the media, the Chief Education Officer agreed this move is in keeping with international standards and is not only used in the American system.
We have a variety of countries across the region and internationally that utilize that name, grades. And if you look at UNESCO and their international standards relative to the naming of classes, you will see that they utilize grades as well. If Barbados is truly to become competitive, if we are looking to branch out and to get persons to believe in the education brand, it is indeed a good thing to have the name grades so that there will be no confusion. Right now we have infants A, infants B, class 1, class 2, class 3. And even sometimes, when persons from international universities ask questions about the levels of our students and we say forms, we usually have to spend a long time explaining to them.
Caribbean students, meantime, are showing marked improvement in this year's CSEC exams, with 44% now achieving the critical benchmark of 5 subjects, including math and English, a 3% increase over last year. But the Caribbean Examination Council is also sounding the alarm over rising exam irregularities, including cheating with smartphones and smartwatches, as well as a troubling gender gap in advanced level subjects. The results were announced on Friday in Grand Cayman, where CXC officials also unveiled a new flexible learning program aimed at keeping more students on track. Manasseh Stanislaus of the DBS News World has this report.
Registrar Wayne Wesley highlighted the progress during the results release in the Cayman Islands, praising regional efforts to boost numeracy and literacy.
We have reimagined our philosophy, and we have taken that philosophy and we have now created what we call the Caribbean Targeted Education Certificate. And what that will do is bring a lot more flexibility in catering to the individuals within the school system, taking the current CCHT standard syllabus and breaking that down into modules, related and relevant learning outcomes that students can take in steps and progression towards achieving their certification.
Wesley believes this is a step in the right direction. According to him, every child deserves the opportunity to realize their full potential, and the new Caribbean Targeted Education Certificate, CTEC, will further personalize learning. The CTEC pilot, starting in September, will modularize English and math syllabuses for 3,000 students across the region. Dr. Nicole Manning, CXC's Director of Operations, reported standout performances in STEM and art subjects. Biology, chemistry, and physics showed improvements, while visual arts and design subjects achieved 100% pass rates in some units, she noted. However, absenteeism and exam irregulations, including cell phone use, remain concerns.
And it's important to note that this year we saw an all-time high of 80 irregularities. Not good. Not good. It therefore means that these candidates of the 80 may have different penalties. And I can tell you, majority of these candidates, in fact, it was about over 40-50% of them would have their results cancelled. So it means that they are found in the exam with a cell phone. For example, I'm just using an example. It means that that candidate's result is cancelled. We beg, we plead, we say, do not take it in the exam.
Ethical integrity is critical. Manning emphasized candidates must avoid unauthorized devices. Their future depends on it. The results also revealed persistent gender disparities, with females dominating CAPE entries at 62%. CXC urged continued focus on inclusive education and digital transformation to support all learners. For the DBS News World, Manasseh Stanislas reporting.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.